This week on Ace on the House.
The economy doesn't affect Seth MacFarlane, does it? No.
Have you asked him?
I can't get through the pile of money to find him. I can just hear his voice. I have to dig. I got a special dog that could sniff him out, and we found him. But then we all started digging. And it was just thrown, and I started telling people anything under, denomination under 20, tens and singles, just start burning them. Get them out of the way. We got to get them some air.
Check out an all-new episode of Ace on the House this Saturday or visit aceonthehouse.com. Only from Corolla Digital. This is Corolla Digital.
Hello, my little sacks of fun dip. It's me, Alison. Before the show officially starts, a few words. Usually I do a certain segment in the body of the show. I don't believe we did it in this episode, and something just happened, which is totally pushing my buttons, which is why I think I need to just do it now. Hit it, Gary.
Hey, go fuck yourself.
I'm not sure this is a true hey, go fuck yourself. It's more like, hey, go fuck yourself? I don't know, because for some reason it's bugging the crap out of me, and I'm probably just being petty, or I don't even know what it is, but I'm just going to tell you guys. I'm just going to discuss it. Okay, so yesterday I got this tweet that said, I see you tweeting thanks to a lot of people. Are you pregnant? That alone. Why is that so annoying to me? You know what it is? It's because there's a way to find out why I'm saying thanks. It's just to read the conversations. It should be noted that Gary is laughing right now. And I don't, but there really, I mentioned it to Daniel, who would be the father of said child. And he didn't quite understand what was so annoying about it. He thought it was stupid, yes. And I thought, got it. Have I become that person who's just annoyed at stupidity? Quite possibly. But for some reason, I think what irks me is the idea that people are interpreting my actions to that degree, and in that to jump to that conclusion is nuts to me. And then I started thinking about it more, and I started thinking, well, also perhaps the idea that people are assuming I'm pregnant, that's a pretty personal and sensitive thing. And now there are other people congratulating me as well. For the record, I'm not pregnant. So anyway, so I was like, do I even respond? I don't want to inflame this. And it irritated me. And so, but then other people were congratulating me as well, because I said thank you. And so I wrote back and I said, thanks, but H-U-H, if you want to know what I was saying thanks to, just read what I was responding to, or something like that. And then the guy wrote back, I read the tweets but got no conclusive info. My fault for taking an interest, I guess. So now I just wanted to throw my phone across the room, because the pregnancy hormones are making me crazy. Gary, wait, is this annoying? I mean, I realize that there's something, I'm being short-fused regarding this, but is it annoying, or am I just being easily annoyed?
No, I don't know. I can see why you would get annoyed easily, and it's never fun when you try to respond to somebody. It's something you think is confusing, and they get righteously indignant.
Yeah,
that's bullshit.
Yeah, and then it's and the thing is, I've gotten into it with this guy on Twitter before, and it's sort of like a it's like those finger cuffs. The more you pull, the tighter it gets, which is not really at all what I'm trying to say. I have a feeling no matter what I write back, some snotty response is going to come back, and it's I have no problem with you taking an interest. It's don't jump to a conclusion and then spread rumors. Anyway, harumph!
Hey, go fuck yourself.
But really, I'm a delightful, easygoing, easy to get along with person. I think we have some iTunes comments of the week.
Alison wants your iTunes comments. Alison wants them, yes she does. Please leave her some iTunes comments and don't forget to click 5 stars.
All right, our first iTunes comment of the week comes from R. McMurphy, and it's titled, Like Me Some Rosen. If you don't like Alison Rosen, don't worry about it, because you're a robot and don't have ears anyways.
That's right.
All right. And
you earless robots.
Our next one comes from Crazy Lady Cat. That's spelled with a K. Andrew Show is the title. Almost didn't make it when he started talking about eating poo, but I hung in there and enjoyed every minute of it. There were so many laughs I had to keep listening. Thank you for making my very long workday lots of fun. You are the best and absolutely as much fun as cute puppies.
Oh, thank you. And I just want to make it clear in case anyone's listening who doesn't get that. That was Andrew WK talking about wanting to eat poo, not me. It's not on my list of things that are included in my diet.
All right, and our last one comes from The Continual, and it's titled Alison is Awesome. I love your show, though sometimes it seems that whilst amidst a perfectly logical line of thought, you digress in such a way that a madman certainly must have creeped in undercover and snuck up on you and spun your chair around.
I just liked that because I like the image of that. Yes, that happens to me all the time. Perhaps a madman impregnated me while spinning my chair around. It almost made me vomit. Also, I was thinking, if I were listening to a podcast and it began with the host reading comments about how great the podcast was, how would I feel? I don't know. And I'm just not going to worry myself with that because basically we need your comments and we need your stars and we need your subscriptions. It's important. It is. And I love you, and thank you. So if you would like your comment to perhaps be one of the iTunes comments of the week, then go to iTunes and leave a comment and click 5 stars. That would be delightful. If you want to email the show, it's ariYmbf@adamcarolla.com. And so I just moved, which is probably part of the reason that I'm a little bit cranky and sort of cunty is too strong, but maybe a little bitch, a little less perfect than I always am. A little bitchy, maybe. I wouldn't want to hang out with me, but don't let that stop you from listening to this episode, please. Anyway, so I just moved, and Daniel and I were walking around our new neighborhood exploring, and he pointed out the post office, and he said, "That's our post office." And I said, "No, it's not, my friend, who I'm going out with and living with now, because we have Stamps.com. So we never have to go to the post office anymore if we want to mail a package or a parcel or a letter or anything. We can print U.S. postage, official U.S. postage, directly from my home computer using the printer, and we know exactly how much postage to put on it using the free digital scale. And this is a whole new, better way of life because I don't know what your schedule is like, but mine does not include, thank God, time to inconvenience myself with a potentially super long trip to the post office. So if you have a home business, if you do stuff on eBay, or even if you just mail a lot of stuff and find that you don't have the time to be going to the post office, which I don't think you do, you really need to get Stamps.com because these days you can get practically anything on demand, just like this podcast you're listening to right now. So why should you have to schlep all the way to the post office and be around a bunch of super cranky people, especially with the holidays coming up? Holidays at the post office, not a very cheerful time. Holidays in your living room when you are printing out exactly how much postage you need to send something, that is a damn good time if I do say so myself. So right now, use my name, Alison, for a special offer from Stamps.com. It's a no-risk trial, plus you get $110. It's a $110 bonus offer. It includes a digital scale, the aforementioned digital scale, which is super handy, and up to $55 of free postage. Gary, could you ever use $55 of free postage?
I'm damn well going to try. I've got some packages I've got to start sending out for the holidays, and I'm at that age where wedding gifts are going out, and instead of having
I hate that age.
Instead of having Macy's charge me some ridiculous fee, I'll bring it home and I'll weigh that thing myself. It's going to be awesome.
Yes, you will. You guys, use Gary as an example and me as an example. And don't wait. Go to Stamps.com before you do anything else. Click on the microphone at the top of the homepage and type in Allison. That's Stamps.com. Enter Allison. All right. I'm done flapping my gums now about all this stuff. And here comes the episode. The guest is Sara Schaefer. She's great. I think you'll love it. I loved it. I love you. Bye, you guys.
Alison Rosen is your new best friend. Alison, with her good times never end. Alison Rosen, doing the wavy pencil pants again. Allison's your new best friend.
Hey everyone, hi, hello, it's me, Alison Rosen. Welcome to another episode of Alison Rosen is Your New Best Friend. My guest today is Sara Schaefer of You Had to Be There, the podcast.
Hello.
And, it's weird as I wanted to say You Have to Be There, but it's You Had to. And I do the same thing with Pete Holmes, You Make It Weird, You Made It Weird. It's like
you just want things to be in the past.
I guess I do.
Oh, no, but you had
yeah, wait, You Have to Be There.
You're
You Had
just
to Be
changing
there.
time.
I just want to bend
tenses.
time to my will.
Yeah.
Or I'm a huge Wrinkle in Time fan. It's not that, but I just wanted to
It's
mention that.
understandable, and it's
that
fine.
book, yeah.
I don't
And
care.
also, you're one of the hosts of the forthcoming Nikki and Sara Show on MTV.
Yes.
And you do lots of other stuff, including. This sentence isn't working, but what I wanted to say was you and I met when we auditioned for something many years ago. And I
At
won't-
Fuse?
Yes,
Yeah.
that's right.
Yeah. I don't even know what that show,
it-
if that show ever happened.
It was a show about music. That much I remember. And I think the current host at the time, again, problems with time issues,
Yeah.
the host at the time was out on like his wife's maternity leave
Right.
or something. And I thought, that's very supportive of him.
Yeah.
And so then they were auditioning new hosts. But I forget what show it was.
I don't remember
And nothing
either.
nothing ever
We
happened.
both nailed it. I thought we did.
I think we did.
I think we
I'm
were the
pretty
best
sure.
in the audition for sure.
I have no memory at all of what it. I feel like it was a round table.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like I waste so much of my life auditioning, and it makes me bitter. But how do you feel about auditions?
I hate it so much. I've only gotten like one thing out of 10 years of trying off of an audition.
Okay, that makes me
But
feel
I don't
better because
audition
that's kind
all
of
the
my
time.
ratios. Yeah,
I get
except for
random. I don't audition all the time, but I'm not good at auditioning, and I've just realized I think that in general for me, I have to create my own opportunities because I'm not easily marketable. Other than I do get called in a lot for like Tina Fey-esque types.
I do
And-
too. Have you been getting those roles? I haven't.
No, I don't. And I have.
You know why?
Yeah.
Because if you're me, because ultimately they did want set up punchline.
Yeah.
They didn't want the cerebral thing they thought they wanted. That
Oh
I,
no,
apparently
they
I
never.
am.
They never want you. They
Right.
want the what they always end up wanting, which is whatever.
Which is not you.
I use the example for voiceover work because I just got a voiceover agent like I don't know, like 6 months ago or something, and he sent me on a bunch of stuff at first, and they were always the same notes, like just be yourself. Do your own voice. Don't try to do a different
Don't
voice.
sound overly announcery or
Yeah,
overly hosty.
not polished. Just
For anyone
as
who
if-
can't tell, my
and-
fingers just went on a frenzy of air quotes.
And sometimes I would be like, well, I've heard a Garnier Fructis commercial, so I'm gonna do that.
Yeah.
And then he'd call me and be like, just do it like it's you and me talking on the phone right now. And I'm like,
About
okay.
shampoo.
And I said, okay, but you and I both know that when I see that commercial, it's gonna be that voice that we all hear. They're like, Garnier Fructis. You're gonna love it. Baskin Robbins. Like, I can do that. If you want me to do that, I'll
Yeah.
do that. But he won't let me do that, and I don't ever get any work. So until my voice becomes what they want, or the other way is you become famous, and then
Right, then they want a Sara Schaefer type.
Yeah.
And then I'll go in
they
for
can't
that.
afford me.
Right.
So Alison Rosen.
A sound alike. Yes. The thing about voiceover stuff I've learned is that, and now tell me if this is how it is for you, the time in between when you audition and when you turn on the TV and you hear the commercial you didn't get that you just auditioned for, very, very short.
Very short.
Unlike
Very
other
upsetting.
stuff. Yes, it
Because you're
is.
like, hey!
Yeah, I could have said that about dryers.
Yeah.
Or, see, now I'm forgetting the copy for that one. But
It's
yeah.
always
Or the
like,
video
get
game
out
thing.
there,
Right.
carnival. Like, it's always that voice. And then they don't want, I think it's because they don't know what they want. Mm-hmm. And then they go through all the voices and then they just pick what is standard.
Right. Oh yeah, there's the Nook one, which by the way, that seems like quite a windfall because there's 8,000 Nook commercials.
Yeah.
Read a book, take a look. That's not the voice
Yeah.
I auditioned with. I feel like I auditioned with a better one.
Yeah.
Read a voice. Read a book.
Hey, you're gonna love
Nook.
you're gonna love this new Dove soap. It's gonna make your skin real soft.
See,
Just going to start fucking around and doing shit like that.
Make it your own.
Yeah.
Have fun with it.
Because you're not going to want me anyway, so I'm just going to have fun with it, do what I want.
I wish I could adopt that attitude. I feel like that would be
I don't.
ultimate freedom.
Can't
yeah.
do that.
Okay. So I want to get into all the everything with you and what's going on
All
with
the
you.
everything.
But all the everything.
That's the name of my upcoming memoir.
all
the everything.
It's beautiful. All the pretty everything. But first, I have to discuss something with everyone in this studio and also everyone listening to this, which is that I have a confession to make. Okay, in the past, when I was growing up, that happened in the past. When people would mention a song or an artist or a movie or a book or whatever, and they'd be like, "Do you know blah blah blah?" I would just say yes because I'm kind of a people pleaser. I mean, not if my sister or someone really close to me said that, but just in conversation, like, you know the cool hit band.
I've done that a lot.
Yes, so I would just say yes because it's just easier, and because I don't want them to be like, "Oh my God, you haven't heard of The Cure," or whatever it would be, you know. And then I went through a phase where I decided, you know what, I'm just going to be honest. And I'm going to say, no, I'm not familiar with that, whatever. Because if I were talking to someone and they pretended to know, you know, like Sunny Day Real Estate or a band that I might mention who I like a lot, I would rather them tell the truth.
Yeah.
But then recently, like a year ago, I remember Adam on the Adam Carolla show saying that if he says, you know, do you know something, like, and he wasn't castigating me, but just in general, you should just always say yes to keep the flow of conversation going. And
I think it depends on the conversation. You have to read the conversation. If the person is in a mode of teaching,
yes,
where they really want to tell you about something, you
then
can
you just
give
leave
them
the
that
conversation.
Well, you can just say, no, I actually haven't. And then they love telling you about it. There are some of those types.
Yes.
But in some conversation, if it's a group and everyone's on board with it and they want to talk about what happened on that episode or whatever, then I think you have to go, oh yeah. Right. And just go with it. But I think it just depends on you have to read the conversation, I think.
You're right. That's good advice. Well, so anyway, so after that, I was like, okay, because with Adam, when he's on a roll, he doesn't want to stop. Even though he's generally in teaching mode, he doesn't, if you say no to him, it's like you're questioning his reality. I don't mean that in the shitty way it sounds. Like, because the presumption is that probably everyone knows this thing that he's talking about. So if you say no, you're making him have to go back. So I've just been
he can't keep on the flow of what his point was.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I've just been like, I'll just, say yes for the most part. So now, okay, so then fast forward to a recent episode of my show with Andrew WK where he mentioned a specific Richard Pryor bit, and he's like, are you familiar with da-da-da? Or no, he didn't even ask. He's just like, you're familiar with da-da-da. And I went, sort of. And I listened back and I was like, that is possibly the most disingenuous thing I've ever said, ever. It's so clear. I thought I was going with it, but it's so clear that I am lying. So that's why I had to come clean.
There's nothing worse than when you say yes and then they ask you for details and you're like, I love, right. You know, it's like, it's you don't want to embarrass yourself. So sometimes it's just, I guess it's the type of person you're talking to and you can read them. But I mean, in general, honesty, I think saves you from embarrassment. But one thing I do is I will say, you know what? I haven't seen it, but I know about it.
Yes, that's good.
And just that
then
gives
you're
them,
still cool.
I know the gist.
Yes.
So then they can talk about it to me without having to explain it. So that's one way you could do it. Oh, you know what? Yes, I am. I'm familiar with it. I can't really remember the details right now. So you kind of like tell them not to ask you questions.
Right. Yes. No. Maybe. I don't know. Stop interrogating me. That's what I'm going to do from now on. This all started because my friend Dustin met Adam I had just been hired and at like some New Year's party. And no, it was here at this studio. And then Adam's like, are you a car guy? To Dustin. And Dustin said no, because he didn't want to be asked any car questions.
Yeah.
Because all he knows is that.
And then look like a liar.
Yes.
Yeah.
But then Adam brought that up as like, he should have said yes on the show. And that's when I decided, I'm just always going to say yes. What? Gary's raising his hand.
No, that's an extreme example, though. Like, you can't use Adam as your barometer.
But I spend most of my time around him. I'm afraid of him.
Okay, I misspoke. You can use Adam as your barometer,
Right.
but it's hard to have this conversation with anyone who
Who's-
doesn't use
right,
Adam
who's
as their
normal.
own barometer. Yeah,
I
exactly.
know.
Yeah.
You're right.
Well, I think
This is
if
a
you
just me or
alien-
everyone for Corolla Digital. For like the 9 people who work here.
Maybe this should be a podcast just for them.
There you
get
go.
them in here.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I would say, yeah, I was about to say, not on a kind of similar note. Like, I think if you had a longer conversation with Adam about it, like, well, what about in this scenario? Would you want me to pretend I knew
Right.
about it or not?
Right.
Like, I think in some situations you wouldn't want that.
Yeah.
You know, it just depends on the conversation.
Well,
I
I
used
just-
to, you know, I used to pretend I had read books because I'm not a big reader.
Mm-hmm.
I will get the gist of something and then move on. And I did that all. I was an English major. I never finished a book. I would just get the gist of it, write the paper, and then bullshit my way through it. And I'll just listen to people describe books that they're reading, and I'll just remember what they said, so that if I'm ever in a conversation about a book, I'll just pretend I read it and be like, oh yeah, it's such an amazing. Like, I would just totally lie and just have enough information.
Well, that's kind of all you need in this world, especially with Twitter.
Yeah, there's I read a book, actually, because I wrote for Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, the game show, on the last season.
Look, I'm crossing that off my list of things I wanted to ask you about.
Check and check. I wrote for them. I wrote questions, and I would just devour trivia style books. And one of the books I read was, because it was just filled with little tidbits, was about like how to sound smart at cocktail parties. Those books are incredible.
Yeah, I've never
They're
read
so
one.
good.
I mean, I know the gist, but I always see them, and I
there
think
you go.
I want to read that.
They're really
Specifically with history and
yes, and politics.
Yeah.
Or, you know, it's really
the shit where you're like,
valuable.
I would like to be a part of this conversation, but I'm afraid if I open my... Well, actually now for me, because I do the news on the Adam Carolla Show, I'm actually up on more politics of late. But history, yeah.
history, art, stuff like that.
Geography.
Literature, geography. Geography's a big one. But yeah, I think I also really love facts and trivia, so like that kind of stuff. But I don't want to read a 1,000-page biography of somebody. Like,
No.
I would just rather get the gist of it and move on.
Have you noticed that it seems like at a certain age, people who once read fiction decide, or maybe they don't decide, just for whatever, all of a sudden they are super into nonfiction and biographies.
Yeah.
Why and when does that happen? Although I did enjoy Steve Martin's Born Standing Up,
Yeah.
but other than that, I haven't made like a big shift.
I haven't read that book.
It's bold. I don't
know.
think any less of
I
you.
actually got-
It's entertaining though.
I want to read it. A comedian I briefly dated told me, got mad at me because I hadn't read it. He acted like I wasn't a real comedian because I hadn't read it, and I was
I
like,
hope you broke up with him at that point. And do you want to
no.
name names?
no fucking way.
Okay.
Ugh. No, not worth it. But
All right.
he got mad at me, and I was like, my goal in life, for the brief time that I was like mad about it, my goal in life was to find Steve Martin, get him to autograph that book to him, to the comedian, and send it to him and be like, yeah, not only did I read it, but I got him to sign it for you, so.
Yeah, in your face.
Why
with
would I
this
do that
gift
for
that you
him?
would totally want.
I know. Why would I give you some? Yeah,
Yeah,
it's so
you'll show
stupid.
him.
I'm so stupid.
No.
I mean, I don't know. I think when someone hurts you, you have a little burning ember. It's always ready to
yes.
spark up and explode for the rest of. I'm like
Yes.
I'm in another relationship. I mean, like, and I dated
know.
lots of other
I just
guys.
met your other relationship.
Yes, and I love him very much. But I'll just have a little burning fire for every person that's ever hurt me in my whole life. Not just guys, not just guys, but girls that have
Yes.
hurt me. And it'll go dormant.
Is
It's
your
like a
heart,
volcano.
Is your heart kind of like a drunk person's ashtray?
yes, and it's like little volcanoes that are dormant, and then if I see them or somebody mentions, or I end up telling the story, it's right. I explode, and I'm right back there again with the feeling, but then it goes
Yes.
back down, and I'm
Yes.
okay, and I function. But
Yes.
I feel embarrassed by that. I'm like, I should be over this.
No.
But
I
I
mean,
don't know.
yes, ideally, but I don't know that anyone ever really is. That's
Well,
that's
yeah.
kind of a just me or everyone. I feel like people who say they are, they're lying, and either they're not
Yeah.
in touch with their own pain, or they're just pretending to be
Yeah.
super centered.
Well, and there's certain types of hurt.
Yeah.
There are people that hurt you in a certain way for the first time. You've never felt that kind of betrayal
Right.
or rejection in a certain area of your heart was new, and they like made it old all of a sudden.
Yes,
Yeah,
they robbed that bit of innocence.
Yeah, it's like, you always have little pieces of innocence that I've never experienced that. And then when you do, you're like, you're the one that took it from me.
Yeah. So wait, what are the areas of hurt that are the big ones for you?
Well, I was in one long relationship, starting at age 19.
Is that your
my marriage?
Okay,
yeah, I was married, and
how many years were you married?
I was married for 3 years, but we were together for 10.
Wow.
So we were essentially like, and he was my first boyfriend. So like, I had never experienced a breakup at age 30, and so I went through that, and I was the one that ended the marriage. But I was extremely hurt. I mean, it was not an easy thing for me to go through. But then after that, different guys would do different things that I had never experienced before. Cheating, the ignoring, the straight up rejection, like those things that guys do that really hurt, or like belittling you, or like, and
right.
I had the hurt of neglect from my other relationship. So I have avoided that. I've avoided guys that were like closed off or like not really affectionate. So I was like, I'm like hardened. I'm scarred and hardened on that part of things. But like little other things, I wasn't prepared for.
Do you feel like you have to experience all of it in order to be able to identify a healthy relationship? Or because I don't know if I would have said, yes, I think you have to, but I know for me, I had to get like banged around quite a bit. Like, there were a lot of lessons that people would have said to me, you should not be in this relationship, or you shouldn't be treated this way if you really like you, everything. And I just listened to that, and I was like, but I'm not going to listen to you. I'm going to do what feels right, and what feels right is chasing this shitty relationship right now. And then, eventually I kind of learned way too late. Not way too late, but I feel like after everyone else did. But then there's these other people who somehow at a young age were able to land in and appreciate healthy relationships. And I always think, how?
Yeah, I don't know that, because I thought I was in one, and then it dawned on me that it wasn't. And because I had nothing to compare it to. And I was seeing other relationships, but you never know from the outside looking in. So right. I never was sure. I was just so filled with doubt. Like, is this normal for me to feel this way? Like, people are like, did you know when you got married that it wasn't going to work out? And I'm like, I had no fucking idea. I mean, there were problems. I mean, I just went through all my old shit, and I found a journal I had been writing in like the year leading up to the wedding. And I read one sentence that like expressed doubt in the relationship, and it killed me. I shut it, and I threw the whole thing away, because I was like, I don't ever want to read.
Yeah.
I'm not the type that throws away journals. I save that shit, but it just, I don't remember what exactly it said. It was just like, I know he's trying. It was something like that, and I was just like, oh, I was like, it was like I could feel, it was like I was blindly fumbling and being like, okay, there's something wrong. I feel it, but
right.
I didn't know what it was, because I had nothing to compare it to, and didn't know what my limits were. And like, I think now looking back, I probably, if I got in a relationship like that again, I would break up like way sooner.
What was that relationship like?
Without getting into too much detail, because I just told someone I'm never talking about my divorce again. Here we go. We were really good friends. I mean, I still think about things that he said and did that he was the funniest person I ever knew, and he was my first love. But I just think in the long run, we weren't meant to be romantically involved. We just drifted apart in all ways, physically, emotionally. Our goals changed, and I think part of that is just naturally in your 20s, throughout your 20s, you change, or not. You don't change. You become who you always were. And you solidify into that person. And if the other person solidifies into something different than you thought they were, and I think that we went through that with each other. I mean, I was not perfect in that relationship either, but it was just, I needed more affection and like feeling like I was like his star, and he just didn't. I think he might have felt it, but he couldn't express it. And it was really sad, because I kept thinking he could like change, and I just don't think it was who he was. And I didn't want to pass judgment and be like, you're bad. 'Cause I never thought he was bad. but it just wasn't right for me. You know,
That's
I
one
wanted
of
to
the
be like, go find
hardest-
someone who wants you
Yes.
as you are. I'm going to go find someone who wants me as I am. Because I think at the end we just weren't compatible. But,
Right.
you know, we have not spoken. You know, we did not end on a good note. And so
Okay.
I don't know how he feels about it. I don't know if he sees the light that I saw, because he was really not seeing it at first. He was just like,
Was he surprised that you felt there were problems?
no, he was not surprised. And if he acted surprised, that was a fucking lie. Like, because I think everyone else in our lives were shocked because we both put on a front that everything was normal. But it just wasn't. And now that I'm in a really great relationship, I'm like, it was worth it. Like,
Yeah.
and I know he's seeing someone, and it's long term. So I'm hoping that is a more mature relationship and he's seeing what was broken in ours. I hope that. But
Yeah.
you know, above all, I just hope he's happy. Like, if he doesn't get it and he's the same person, but he's found someone who's more like him and they work together, that's great. But there's still part of me that wants him to be like, you were right.
I know.
I'm never going to get that. Never.
I had a friendship with an ex in New York. I lived in New York for years. And this guy that I had gone out with, and then we broke up, and then we were friends. But it was a really unhealthy friendship in that I don't know what I was doing, because I've never really talked about this on here, actually. Like, the way I was treating him was not how I would treat someone that I respected or someone who I was really close with or even liked. So in a way, even though I wasn't consciously doing it, I think I was paying him back, or I don't know what
No,
I
you
was
do
doing.
that.
Just being a bitch is what I was doing.
I did not treat my ex-husband. Now looking back, I strive to be way more loving and supportive and than I was to him. But I think it was like a tit for tat. I would just get stuck in this, like, well, you're not going to say anything for an hour after I cry, then fine.
Yeah.
I'm going to shut down. And I did.
Right.
And then it was a disaster. 'Cause
Right.
It's not who I
and then
am.
it's two people playing games.
And once I shut down, there was no going back. I mean, it was just never, the walls had been built up and it was like never going to be okay.
But
That was really sad.
At what point of the relationship did that happen?
Well, my mom died, which was extremely traumatic. And I think a year, right before she died, I was having doubts that I had made the right choice marrying him. And I told him. And then my mom died, and it was like, then my mom became terminally ill, like it was the end. And so I just became very focused on that.
What kind of cancer was it?
Breast cancer. And so then about a year after she died, the feelings that I had of being unhappy with him, they were, I couldn't think about anything else. I was miserable. I would cry on my commute every day because I didn't know what to do. I was so afraid. I mean, I was raised Southern Baptist. I was extreme good girl. And to do that, to leave him was...
Divorce is encouraged in that community, right?
And he was Catholic. So, and like no one in our families had ever been divorced. I was extremely afraid of ending that. It just, everything, like from what are we going to do with our stuff?
Yeah.
Like, how can you, I'd never been through a breakup. I just couldn't wrap my head around it. But it just kept creeping. I couldn't keep the thoughts down as much as I was trying to repress them. And I'm not someone who can repress emotions at all, which is kind of a problem. But I was trying to keep it down, and it just sort of exploded, and I just had to get out.
Do you think? And by the way, I heard you on Pete Holmes' podcast talking about your mom, and it. I remember you were talking about there's like a moment that wrecked you, and I'm like listening to this is wrecking me. It was so,
I didn't know
like,
that conversation was going to go in that direction, and I was like, oh my god, here we are. But that's Pete's so inquisitive, he'll just follow that.
Right.
It
was so
kernel.
Beautiful and honest, though. But
Thank you.
I just that totally hit me.
Yeah,
in
and
the
I
heart.
think what happened with my mom's death was that I became determined to live my life to the fullest. That life was short, and I saw the love that she had with my dad, and I decided I would rather be alone for the rest of my life than be in that. I was just so lonely in that relationship, and I didn't want to feel that way anymore. God, I'm getting emotional.
Well, it is. It's really sad. That's I think one of the worst feelings ever is feeling alone with someone.
Yeah, it's the worst because you feel trapped.
Exactly.
And at least if you're alone as a single person, you have control over your life. and you're the only one that decides what you get to do. But,
And you're in control of your mood. I mean, that was kind of the trap
Yeah.
for me, was that after all these years of bad relationships, I decided, I was like, I'm done for now, or this is nothing that I'm trying to do is working. I'm just going to be single. And I was single and happy for 4 years. Like, I
Yeah.
truly, like that feeling when you first break up and you're happy about it, that just wasn't going away. And I'm like, oh, now what do I do?
Well, I was fooling around with as many guys as I could. I was like making up for lost time, having a wild time, and getting hurt and hurting others. And I mean, I was going through what you go through in your 20s in the course of a year. And that was a very dramatic time. And dealing with the pain out from the divorce still.
Right.
I was a nightmare. and I'm sorry to every guy I dated, even the ones that hurt me, because I didn't react well when I got hurt, because I just couldn't handle. I was just so vulnerable, and like I think I got taken advantage of, not intentionally, but they didn't know what they were dealing with. You know, like when a guy would hurt me, it's like, no, you're dealing with like a ball of, explosives here.
Yeah.
Like, and then
What would you do? Like, in what way would you react?
Well, my ego couldn't handle it on one level, because I had never been, but then I was like, I deserve it because I ruined my marriage and I deserve this. So I kind of stuck around with some guys that weren't, I never was monogamous. I was like juggling like all these different guys, thinking I could do that and that nothing would go wrong and no one's feelings would get hurt, but they did.
Were you, and did they think that you were being monogamous? with
No,
each other?
I never.
No. Okay.
No, I never was like sneaking around. But I think, a couple guys I got, emotionally attached to,
Right.
and then they hurt me or I hurt them, and it was just a crazy year.
I have, in my experience, even though all the dating advice is always when you're just in the date, before you're exclusive, you should just be dating tons of people because then you don't get too attached to any of them. I could never do that because I just do get attached kind of no matter what, and then I would end up feeling like, well, now I'm dating two guys, and one of them is the one that I actually have feelings for, and the other one is the one that I think I should be dating, and now I feel like a whore, even if I wasn't sleeping with them, just emotionally.
Well, and you either feel it or you don't, and
Yes.
like then. But I also had the complex experience of like different types of guys. Like I had never been with a guy that was like a player, like that bad boy, and that's just not me. I mean, a lot of girls, like, they like bad boys, but I was just like, it was like oil and water. But I was so addicted to the attention I was getting. And so it was a very confusing time. It did a lot to me, damage. And then I have that's why I have all these little volcanoes, like,
Right.
But then I met Scott, my current boyfriend, and I was totally like you at that point. Like, I'm just, at this point, I'm single and I enjoying it, not really hung up on anybody. I feel very kind of free and clear about the whole
such a
situation.
good feeling.
And then I met Scott, and I was like, he's so great. And we just hung out constantly right upon meeting each other. It was like instant. But it wasn't like, to me, it wasn't, he's like watching this right now. Honey, it wasn't like I don't think, and I don't think he would describe it either. It wasn't like head over heels, like craziness, but it was just like we immediately fit, and it was like, this is normal. Of course we're hanging out today, like, and it just felt nice.
Were you guys just friends at the beginning, or
No, we met, and that night we were like, I like you. And
how'd you guys meet?
At a show. He booked me on a show through a friend, and it was great. And he and I remember being really afraid in the beginning, like, you're not ready for this, you just went through fucking hell and back. And but I was like, I don't want to lose this person because I really care about him, and I'll just have to go with it. And he's had to deal with me still unraveling all that stuff, but he's been amazing. He knows everything about me. So he's probably really tired of me talking about all this shit. But
Everything about you, are you more open with him than you were with your husband?
Oh, no, I was very open with my husband. The difference is that I think he was not open with me, and Scott is very open with me. Like, I feel like I know almost everything. And stories will come up, and I'm like, oh, I haven't heard that yet, and I get all excited.
Yeah.
But he doesn't hide things from me in the day-to-day. That's another thing. You can tell everyone all your stories, but you can still be closed off in your day-to-day. Like, you don't tell someone just how you're feeling, or what your mood is, and they're just sort of presenting a sort of cold front. That's not good. And Scott's not like that, thank God.
And your ex was?
Yeah, he was like that. But
was it, was that just how he was?
Yeah.
Or was
and
he
it wasn't,
just withholding?
I don't know. I still like on my angry days, when I get angry about it, I think he was cruel, you know, and just selfish and like too afraid to risk anyone letting anyone in, that he was slowly killing me, and neglecting me. But then on my good days, it's like, it's just who he was. And I'm the opposite. We were opposite, like so opposite. And at first I thought, for many years, I was like, oh, that's what makes us so great, you know? And then I was like, oh, I just want someone to hold my hand, you know, like just stuff like that. And I was just like, and I know that there are people that are women that are like that, you know, and he might be more compatible with him, and that might be fine with him. But also I just think...
Do you mean that, this might be a stupid question, I just want someone to hold my hand. Do you mean that metaphorically? Or
both.
Do you mean... Okay.
But he was very supportive of me, and I don't want to like totally bash this guy, because God knows I've found out that if you don't want someone to hear something, don't say it on a podcast, because they will find out.
Yeah.
But I'm ready for him. If he hears
case.
all this, like, and he has a problem with it, you can talk to me and we can get through this. But I don't think he wants to ever hear my voice again, so I doubt he would. But he was very supportive of me to a point, and then it was like, you know, well, you're on your own. And then, but physically he would not hold my hand in public, it was all we argued about was stuff like that. Like, I'm just like, why am I jealous of somebody getting their, you know, someone putting their arm around a girl makes me furious. Like, it feels like I'm being stabbed, because I never get that from you, you know, and we would just go back and forth in circles on the same stuff over and over and over again. And then finally I was just like, I can't do this anymore. I have to believe there's something better. I'm like, you and your family, I wish I was like, you guys just are content with whatever it is in your life. I'm like, maybe I'm just being extremely greedy, but I want more. So, and I think our just career was going in different directions. He wanted to kind of settle down and live a life that was which I don't judge anyone that does this. I mean, it was nice, but, you know, eat, hang out with your friends, live a simple life, no ambition beyond that.
And not question stuff, it sounds like.
Yeah, and I don't know. But in the beginning, we dreamed together, and then he let go of his dream, I think, a little bit, and it really hurt me. Because I was like, I was going full steam ahead, and I felt like he was kind of pulling me.
Is he a performer as well?
No, he was a writer, which is a very solitary, lonely thing in his own world. And just, I couldn't get in there. I always would like compare. I had all these metaphors because I was trying to understand it so much. Like the metaphor of like, he was on a hobo train, like sitting there with like, I'm a hobo on a train, living my life. The train's going real slow. But I'm running next to the train to like keep up with him and trying so hard to be with him. And then finally I was just like, I had to stop running, and I'm walking off in the other direction, and you're just going to go. It was really sad.
That is really sad.
It was really sad.
But I like that there's a song that goes with it.
I'm a hobo on the train doing nothing, and you're doing everything to keep up with me. Like, I mean, and I was just exhausted. I couldn't do it anymore. And then I also compared it to like he had a castle walls around him, and I just, no matter what I did, I couldn't get over him or through him, or, you know, it just wasn't gonna happen.
When you said that, like up to a point, then you were on your own, or at a certain point you were on your own, when you guys would go back and forth about stuff you're talking about, like in what way do you mean?
Career stuff. Like I would suggest maybe moving to LA for something, and he was just like, absolutely not, like without even hearing me out. And I would be like, ooh, that was always something I kind of wanted to do. You know, like, I just figured I'd become famous and have to go to Hollywood. Like, what? You weren't thinking that? You know? Like, and it was that sort of immediate, no.
Right.
I'm not doing that. You know, it was like anger.
Yeah,
and it was
like,
just
can't
like,
we even talk about it?
Yeah, like,
That's
what
how
if
I
it
would
was,
feel.
and it was for a job that was like, you know, it was working in the internet, like sort of a natural progression from what I had been doing. And a friend had like said, I might be hiring someone. Would you come out here? And I was, and when I told him about it, he was like, no, absolutely not. We would not do that. And I said, what if, because it hurt. I was like,
I'm getting mad.
Well, I said, what if I got a TV show? Would you move to LA then? He was like, sure. And it just dawned on me, and my heart, it just shattered. I was like,
he's a star fucker?
no, that he didn't believe that I was going to make it.
Oh.
That's
wow.
he didn't believe in me. That when it was something
so you mean
tangible.
He was saying sure, like
because he
didn't
knew
think
it
that
would
was...
never happen.
Oh. Well, fuck him.
I know.
And how exciting that now you are getting a TV show. But really, fuck him. You know what? It's before the time to do this segment, but we have a little thing that we need to say to him.
Hey, go fuck yourself.
Jeez.
I have to say, okay, can I just say one thing
Yes.
just to like even the playing field here a little bit? There are some things I'm not discussing that happened that I did not do things correctly.
Okay.
And I can't go into it for specific reasons, mainly trying to protect him because I don't want to get into the details, but I
Right.
just want everyone to know I'm bashing him, but I also played a part in
Yeah,
everything,
okay.
and
The record will show that you feel that it wasn't just like he was a bad guy. It was both.
he's
of
not a
you.
bad person. We weren't compatible. I probably
Yes.
didn't end it in the correct way, and I know I really hurt him, and so you can read into that what you want.
Okay. Now here's something that I think about. I actually, my boyfriend texted. I had a general meeting, which is another thing I dislike.
Generals,
Yeah, I know.
what is the point?
Yeah, nothing ever. Oh, maybe I'll sing my answer. Nothing ever comes out of them, but you still have to dance for someone and feel like a whore, to use the word again.
Yeah.
But I can't sing. I just have to. I'll just rap it.
I liked it. I thought it was great.
Thank you. No, I'll do it. But you still have to go on them if you want an opportunity, even though I'm not sure I believe that.
Yes. That I agree with that on the generals.
But so anyway, I had one, and it was surprisingly painful, and because it ended up because the guy's like, so what is it that you want to do
That's all that they always- yeah.
the 25 minutes of bonding and me feeling like this is going great, I'm totally charming and breezy and fun, and I'm making jokes, and I think, I forget if we know the same people, but we may as well, because oh my god, we're best friends, and he's giving me what do you want to do? And it wasn't a pitch meeting, but I sort of pitched him like the what I want to do, and then he's like, and just explained why, like, I could basically never do that because they don't give, and I'm sorry that this is now splashing onto you a tiny bit, they don't give talk shows to people that aren't household names.
Yep. Now, let me just say
Okay.
something about that. I had several people over the years tell me the same fucking thing. My
'Cause
own
I've got
management.
a hard ashtray regarding
My own
this.
management told me that.
Oh, really?
Well, they said they didn't
hope
say
you
you won't
fired
have
them.
this. No, I love them. They said they actually made a really good point. They said, you know what they're going to say to you. I said, I already know.
I love them then too.
I was like, I already know. You're not famous. Why would we give this to you? And they say, you have to have that answer back on why you. And my answer at the time was, because I was born to do this.
Did you really say that?
That's what I told my management. And they were like, that's really sweet, but it needs to be a different answer. I was like,
What did
okay.
you come up with?
Well, they said, what's the piece? What makes you different? What's the, and
Right.
I went around in my head over and over again trying to figure out what was different about me. Because the show that I pitched it's not reinventing the wheel. And then Nikki was up for something really big, and she didn't get it. It was to host a show with someone. And
Do we say what that was?
that was, we can say it because she talked about it, Kevin Smith. It wasn't like him being mean to her, but it was
Who
a
ended
show.
up getting it?
I don't know. I don't know if it ever even went anywhere. But it was between Nikki and another girl, and Nikki didn't get it, and she was devastated. I mean, they got her hopes up, and
They do that. Not
they
that I'm
tend to do
bitter.
that. Yeah, no, they tend to do that, and I
Yeah.
think she had never been through something like that before, so she also learned like how to temper your expectations and stuff in that moment. And that night, we were about to tape the podcast, and she found out in my backyard that she didn't get it, and she was so upset, and I started crying. We just talked about it on the podcast, and it was a really great episode. I don't remember the number, so sorry, but
How dare you not have everything
Reference
filed by
point.
number? Do you happen to know who the guest was on
the
that
guest
one?
was Tanner Wally.
Okay.
We'll put the link to that episode up on.
Yeah, it was
on
a
the
great
website.
episode, and we really got like really into our feelings about rejection in this business, and she had just experienced it. And by the end, she's like, I feel great. I feel so much better. I don't give a shit. And then when we were done taping, we were in my kitchen, and I'll never forget this moment. She grabbed me and she went, what if we pitched a show together? And then it was just like the light bulb went off in my head, and I went, well, I have something. Mm-hmm. And you're the missing piece. It's the both of us hosting it. We're host a podcast together. Why didn't I think to put you in there with me? We have this chemistry that came out of nowhere. It's working. People like it. Why wouldn't I include you in this? It just hadn't occurred to me because this idea I'd had forever before she existed in my life. And then in that moment I went, we're pitching a show together. And we started working on it together at that point. And then I had my new answer, which was because it's me and Nikki. Because we have a podcast that's already successful.
And did they
worked.
accept that one? That
Yes,
answer?
They did.
Okay.
And I think we both just had enough of a reputation. We just both had enough things in our, on our resume that all together added up to, we want someone new, and that's the thing that I think I don't know if you had this general with a production company or a network.
It was a production company. And
Now,
I
see,
think the problem is
yeah.
that to get someone who's willing to take a risk, you have to go higher up. Like, this guy's just filling orders. He's
Networks-
like, they want
yeah.
something involving fish and idiots.
Yeah, the networks. It depends on the network, but I found I just from my experience of how I've heard them, especially at MTV and how I've heard them talk, they want to discover someone new. Mm-hmm. They want to be responsible,
Right.
But that's a huge problem in our industry right now. I think ever since I got involved, somehow it's happened the day I show up.
Thanks, Sarah.
The gatekeepers decided that none of them were ever going to take a risk again.
Yes.
And they were all going to just wait for one of the others to validate.
Jenny McCarthy can barely get a talk show. I feel like he said that, or I don't know.
Oh, no. They told me Kathy Griffin. This was years ago. I met with VH1 or something, and I love it because I'm like, now I'm at MTV.
Yeah.
You go suck my dick. But they were like, I met with somebody at VH1, and he was like, oh, Kathy Griffin wants a talk show on our network, and we're not going to even give it to her. I don't even know why. Now she has
they
a
give
show.
it to you. They
I'm
have
like,
to give it to
okay.
someone else, too.
This was I wasn't
Right.
ready. It was just years and years ago. So I think that there's a lack of risk taking
Yeah.
on a lower level. I think higher up, but that's the thing that Patton Oswalt's speech at Just for Laughs this year was talking about this, about how these days we as comedians have to do our own shit. We have to make ourselves our own name, because now the sort of industry doesn't. I mean, I'm talking on the level of getting into Montreal, getting a spot on late night, getting your first spot on Comedy Central. I think on that level, it's extremely hard right now to break in just on your stand-up. You have to have done other things. You have to be hot. And it's like, well, I'll be hot.
No problem there, but
You have to have huge tits.
Mm-hmm. You have to have
which
huge
is why
Twitter
I'll never
numbers.
do stand up on TV. But no, they I don't.
well, they say all
no
that,
one will
and
give
then
you that
Look
first chance.
at Lena Dunham.
I know.
It's not a stand-up, but
I
I mean,
know.
like,
There are
they
anomalies.
Say, they
Yeah.
say all these things, and
But
then
it's-
someone comes along who doesn't fit the mold, and everyone, and then actually, I don't think it makes them realize that they were wrong, but it gives hope to people like me, at least, who's like, they lack the vision to realize that what they are trying to put out is not what the audience is demanding. That's the thing that's frustrating.
And I think, like I've felt this, I still feel this. I'm very frustrated with my stand-up right now. I'm going in circles about, is it good enough? And then I'll go, yes, it's fucking good enough. Like, I've worked 10 years on this. I have like over an hour of material. It's all just sitting there. Mm-hmm. No one will let me do it on TV. Like, what is it about me? And I'm trying to figure out what part of it is my fault. Am I just not ready? Whatever. And what part of it is, for some reason, I just can't. I don't fit the mold that they want. They already have one like me. I don't know. I don't know what it is. But I can't convince those people. And everyone's like, well, you just have to get one of those things and then everyone else. And I'm like,
Right.
But you're just going in a circle at that point. And everyone's like, no, not ready. No, thanks, not yet. And then now
Do you have heart embers over that?
Oh, hell yeah.
Okay.
And it's like, people are like, you have a TV show, stop complaining. I'm like, yeah, but you don't understand, that hurt doesn't go away,
right?
Like right away. And I'm not on TV yet. It might be a total failure, and I'll be back to where I am right now. So I'm still thinking about these things. I'm still in that world that I have been in, and everyone's like, well, the TV show will change that, and I'm like, it may or may not. I'm not trying to. I've been in this position before where I've gotten a great opportunity and I'm so excited about it. And then it doesn't change my life the way I thought it would. And it's really just a baby step. Even though this is a big deal, you know, I'm not expecting to be incredibly famous right after, you know, like that takes time. My dad was like, are you gonna be able to ride the subway? And I'm like, yes, I'm gonna be. It's not gonna be that. And then some people are like, well, you might be really famous. I'm like, I don't know. How can I predict that right now?
Right.
The only thing I can control right now is what we do on the show. And so that's what I'm trying to think about, and not think about like
How
money,
it's gonna change everything.
yeah, money, fame, that kind of stuff.
Are you nervous?
Yeah, I'm really nervous, but I'm also really just want to do it. I'm just excited. I know I can do it. Like when we did the pilot, when we were up there on the stage shooting it, at first I was super scared. I'd never done teleprompter. Like all these things were new at once.
How did that go, doing teleprompter, having never
It was fine.
Done it? You should have better with
We knew
language
the
than
material.
today.
We had written it, so we knew it really
Okay.
well. And since then, I've gotten more comfortable just with, you know, we were changing things up, you know, right to the last minute. We did 2 tapings in one night. We changed a bunch of stuff. They
And
would
so,
change
it's
it right there.
sketch and talk show, or what's the
Yeah,
format?
it changed. We did one pilot that was sort of a grab bag, and this was a strategy because we knew that MTV was going to be kind of nervous about doing a talk show. They haven't done one in so long, and so we just were like, here's what it could be. Here's a million different things. Pick what you like, and that's what they did. They went, okay, let's do another pilot, like a reshoot of it, and do it this way, which was which happened to be what we originally wanted, which was a more traditional, like me and Nikki doing jokes at the top, which I would compare it to like a standing up Weekend Update, but you know, not to a younger audience. So like, not so much politics as it is like pop culture
Right.
stuff. And so we would do jokes back and forth, some together, and then the rest of the show will be like sketches, parodies, an interview with a celebrity. Yeah, so it's gonna be kind of a grab bag, but yeah, it has very basic fundamental roots in a talk show.
And you guys have done the pilot or a couple of pilots. Have you been doing more episodes yet?
No, we haven't started working yet. Right now, we're working on some web stuff to lead up to it, and then official work begins at the end of October, and trying to promote it and stuff. Which that stuff scares me because I don't know. And also, like, what if they reject my face? Like, what if America hates my face? Or, like, you know, there's, like, things like
Sorry.
that. Like, I spent a ton of money on my hair. Like, people don't even notice that it's different. But
looks
to
good.
me, it is, like, I feel like $1 million because it's just, I know that it was professionally done.
What was it like before?
It was just like this, but drab. Like, it was like...
I mean, there's a lot of zhuzh going on.
Yeah, it was just dirty blonde, dirty. It was emphasis on dirty. It just looked, and I have like gray hairs and shit, and so I got someone to make it like more red and like dipped my tips.
It's a new you.
It's a new
It's
me, and I got
feels like one.
slightly trendier glasses to
Okay.
be hip with the kids.
But I feel like your glasses have always been hip.
Well, the glasses I had, they kind of had become part of my face, and my look are now like 6 years old, and I was like, that style is just starting to go. I was like, I've noticed that like young starlets are wearing these like kind of bigger glasses, so I'm like, I got to go a little bigger, me,
Right.
but just a little bit updated. I didn't want it to be like show up like trying so hard to be younger looking or whatever.
Right. Yes. Well, actually, that's something you guys were talking about on your podcast, Demo Lovato, which I think
Demo
is
Lovato.
hilarious. Which is what? Explain that.
Well, Demi Lovato is a pop star.
Yes.
Very popular with the younger crowd. And when we were shooting the pilot, we kept talking about the demo. What is the demo? Not like pandering to the demo.
Right. Was this something conversations you were having with your producers?
Yeah, with MTV, with the development executives, and us, and it's not about pandering to a younger audience or dumbing it down or being cheesy, because we really kept. I mean, some of the jokes we did in the pilot, I do in my stand-up now. Like, they're legit jokes, but it's about frame of reference. So if you want to make a reference to, Jerry Orbach on Law and Order, it's probably not going to hit as hard with that crowd. So, then you got to hit broad, big and broad. And I'm okay with that. I think those jokes are great. I love Weekend Update. I love The Daily Show. And I think, The Daily Show takes very specific niche political stories and makes them extremely easy to understand and makes very broad jokes about it. I mean, if you watch that show, it's very smart, but it's also very easy to understand.
Right.
And
It's accessible.
yeah, so that's like what we were kind of doing with the demo, like talking about, well, they might not get that, so let's think of another way of making that joke. And then Nikki started calling the demo Lovato.
But do you naturally feel like that is what your demo would be, though, or are in your head?
No, it's like research. They know what their
Yeah.
demo is, and it's the majority of the audience on MTV is like women, teenage and college age women, which I'm totally down with. Those are my peeps.
That's what I'm asking.
I'm down with that. I like what they like. I'm a girl at heart, still, and I don't cling. I'm nostalgic for this shit I liked growing up, but I like new stuff too. Like Katy Perry is one of my favorite people on earth, and I like what she's selling, even if it's cheesy, And I think that's the tone of our show is gonna be more celebratory instead of like snark. We're not gonna be doing what Chelsea Handler is doing, because I think she's coming at it from a slightly older point of view, partied hard, like her exploits with
Right.
celebrities, and I think me and Nikki aren't celebrities coming into it. And I mean, not that Chelsea was a huge celebrity going into her show, but I think we're coming into it as a fan, as fans of this stuff, and questioning what the media does to women. And I think that's we're not going to be making fat jokes. We'll be making jokes about why is anyone saying that Anne Hathaway needs to lose weight? This is ridiculous. Like that
Are
kind
people
of
actually
stuff.
saying that?
We did a joke about it because she lost weight for her role in Les Mis. Like, she's eating an apple, just one apple every day. These are these
Right.
stupid stories you read. Who knows if it's true or not? But they
Yeah.
were like, she did look pretty thin. And then she shaved her head, which made her look even skinnier. And we were like, where is she going to lose the weight from? Her eyes?
I know.
And it was because her eyes are so big, and we made a joke about that. And so it's like that kind of, making fun of celebrity, but also like looking up to it.
How did you guys start doing the podcast, and when did you start doing it?
It was about 2 years ago. We met at a party in New York. Brian Baldinger, who's a really great guy. He's on the scene. He's like a booker type, manager type guy. He had a party, and Nikki and I were both there, and we knew who each other were. And I think we'd met briefly before, but we just started talking because there was a bunch of girl comedians there, and she and I were talking, and I made it sound like Brian just had a harem of girl comedians.
Right.
There was men there too, but like the girls tend to like gravitate
Yeah.
and talk. And she and I just started talking, and we were talking about Justin Timberlake and how angry we were that he hadn't made new music, and which ended up being a sketch we wrote years later, which helped us get our show. But
because he retweeted that,
yes,
right?
he tweeted our video about him.
I was wondering, did
One of the
that
best
open
moments of my
doors, or
life.
like what did that do?
It helped solidify when we went into pitch. We pitched like a year ago this week, and
Oh, happy pitchversary.
I know it's all happening. So we went in and we timed the video. I just had a gut feeling that video was going to be huge. Working in the internet for as long as I had, I just would get that feeling about certain things. I'm like, this is going to be viral. I already know it. And so I was like, let's post the video 1 week before the pitch meeting, and it will have gone viral, and they will already know what we're about because they will see it. I know how these things work. They will get somebody to send them the
That's
video.
such a good divining rod to have, because I hear people be like, we're going to make a viral video, and I think, yeah, like hell you
I
are.
didn't say that.
No, I know,
said
but I'm just saying, most
we
people
had
don't
this
know.
idea to make this PSA thing, and I was like, Nikki, we have to do it right, because I know this is a funny idea. I can tell it's going to get a lot of play because everyone feels this way. And it did, and he tweeted it within like 12 hours of us posting it. And then it went huge.
Did you do anything to try to get him to see it?
No.
He just,
and I had a feeling. I'm like, I know how this world works at this point, working at Fallon, and like how just the internet and how it works. It'll get to him. Because once it was on the front page of Huffington Post, I was like, he's going to see it. I know
Yeah.
it. His people are going to forward it to him because they're going to, think it's funny. And if he's the type, and he's the type of guy that can laugh at himself, so his people are going to forward it to him, and then boom.
Right.
And he tweeted it, and I literally flipped out and ran circles in my apartment, like just went crazy because I love him so much, and I was like, he saw my face. Yeah, so it was great.
That's cool. Wait, I lost. I had a question. It was about, you're working in web. I know that you did internet and social media stuff for
Yeah.
Jimmy Fallon.
Yes.
before that, were you? What else?
Yeah,
take me through all the jobs you had.
I worked at the Italian Oven when I was 16. No,
what is that? Is that a restaurant?
it was
or
a
is that
restaurant,
cooking supply store? Okay.
in Midlothian, Virginia. I was their social
Server?
media director before it existed. No, my first break, I guess, in New York, my first job that wasn't a day job, like a day job.
Oh, right, because you went to New York and did some kind of corporate-y, like,
yes, I worked at like a law
thing,
firm,
right?
did
Okay.
damages for these stock trading cases. I just learned it.
Fascinating.
It's so stupid. But I'm like, I think about it, I'm like, I understand stock trading. Like, that's something that I can do. I don't do
now,
it.
you were
but
an English major, though, so
Yeah.
and I was an English major, too. What made you gravitate towards that kind of job?
because someone knew someone and got me the
Okay.
job. And I was afraid to come to New York without a plan because it made me really nervous because it seemed so daunting. So I was like, I have to have a job.
What year was that?
2001.
Okay.
I moved here right after 9/11. It was ridiculous.
What month?
October.
Okay.
Like a month after.
Wow. Was everyone
I'd
like,
already-
what the hell are you doing?
Oh, yeah. They were like, why are you still going? I'm
Yeah.
like, it's probably the safest place to be right now. They already kind of got him. Like, that's the fucked up thing to say.
Were you
but-
nervous to fly, though? Because I certainly was.
I
right
was
after.
scared shitless
Yeah.
for probably 4 or 5 months after it happened. I mean, I think everybody was nervous about it. Because then, right after that, the anthrax thing happened.
Right.
And then right after I moved here, that plane crashed in Jamaica, Queens. And it was just seemed like tragedies were happening. Like horrible people were doing horrible things. Even though the plane crash in Jamaica, Queens was an accident, ruled an accident, it was just, when you heard about it, you were like, is this happening again? I mean, it was
Yeah.
like that feeling that it was never going to end.
Right.
Which I think...
And there was an inevitability to disaster, the feeling of
Yes.
disaster.
Well, it was what was so fucked up about 9/11. I think it's why it fucked us up so bad psychologically, is because on the day it happened, it just was like, what else is going to, I mean, things kept happening and it was just unbelievable. I mean, it really fucked our heads big time. That's a burning ember for the American society.
Yeah.
If you look at numbers, I mean, not to get like fucking talk about 9/11, but
That's okay.
they killed 3,000 people, which in terms of like war
I know.
is not that
actually
many people.
It's like even a little bit fewer than 3,000, I think.
Yeah.
I was just, because it was just the anniversary of 9/11 just happened.
Yeah.
I was watching the news and I saw the number on the screen and I was like, fuck. That's compared to like other gigantic, awful things. That's actually
this country has done. I mean, not
Right.
done, but things we've been involved in and the collateral
it's
damage.
not as much as other things. And
Tsunami,
yet it's like yeah.
But what it did to us psychologically is genius in a way. I mean, I know that is a very controversial. That's like
Right.
you get in trouble for saying they were geniuses, but I mean, you want to fuck somebody in the head? I mean,
Yeah.
they figured out a way to do it.
Well, right. It's terrorism in the truest sense of the word, spreading
yes.
terror.
Yes, they planted a seed in all of us
Yeah,
that will.
yeah.
Our generation, it will never go away.
Right.
You know, I mean, I think the next generation will have no concept of it unless something happens, which I think is a great thing. I would like to the next generation to be a little more innocent, but you know.
It's
anyway.
weird though if you think about like going back to talking about history, the history textbooks that you and I would have read in grade school. I forget what year the big stories kind of tapered off, but there wasn't really. I feel
Well,
like
Desert Storm was scary to me. That was
Yeah.
and we had
Or
the
the riots
Cold
in-
War,
for
and
me,
yeah, OJ, like, you know,
Yeah.
those big moments where you know where you were or whatever. But 9/11, I mean, that did some fucking
the
damage.
cake. Yeah. Yeah. So okay. So then, but moving
Back
on
to comedy,
right, on the lighter side,
social
so you-
media. I worked at this law firm and then I got a job. I auditioned and got. This is like one of the only things I ever got by audition, and it was I hosted a web show for AOL.
The DL.
The DL, what a stupid name. I didn't choose it. I was like, do you know what that means among the African American community? Okay. Anyway, so
Did you ever ask them that?
yes, we talked about it. And it was chosen before I got there, so I was
Okay.
like, ugh. But anyway, I interviewed a ton of bands. It was a really fun year, and then it got canceled. I can't believe it lasted a year because it was such a mess. But no one saw it. I mean, it was so stupid, but I got to do some great
Were
stuff.
you already doing comedy at that point?
Yes, I did
Okay.
comedy from like 2002 starting in
Right.
New York, and just was doing all kinds of stuff, improv, stand-up, sketch, anything I could do. And then from there I got a job. I had to go back to the law firm work for a few months, and it was so terrible because I thought I would never have to do that again. and I was like eating crow. And then I went and got this job blogging for Best Week Ever, which was an awesome job, and it taught me how to write quickly about pop culture, which I didn't feel confident about. And then I was like, I can totally do this. And then from there, I got the job at Fallon.
Okay. Yeah, and I
Running the
think you
blog.
were doing Best Week Ever when I met you.
Yeah.
The Fuse thing. All right, so then you went to Fallon, and then you left Fallon. Was that to go freelance or?
To write for Who Wants to Be a Millionaire.
Oh, okay.
And I wanted to leave, and that came up, and it was a great way out. I wanted to leave just because I knew I wasn't going to get writer there. I could just, the non-writing was on the wall. And
was that hard?
Oh yeah, it hurt me bad. But I mean, just because
Had you submitted packets? And things?
they asked me to, and
oh, that makes it worse.
yes, it does. It just wasn't going to happen. I think to move up at that show in any position is almost impossible, and a lot of people have left because I think it's just a really hard job. It burns you out, and you have to move on. And they don't seem to care,
Right.
and I understand. It's a business thing, and their core creative group is there, and that's the heart of the show. And they do a great show, and to be a part of it for even a small time is great. But it's hard to stay there with no hope of moving up if you're on the lower echelons of things. And because you know that you can take what you've done there on such a great show, such a big deal, and go and get something, move up. And that's a hard carrot to not jump at.
Right.
And I mean, I was really hurt that I didn't get to be writer, but because it's all I wanted. I really had convinced myself, because my dream was always to host a talk show. And I convinced myself after being there, I was like, well, now I know Jimmy's amazing. I'll never get that. So I want to write for one. And then they just wouldn't let me do it. And I was like, God damn it. I don't want to be a blogger anymore. And so my agent was like, hear me out. It's a game show. I was like, I've heard of it. And it was the best decision I ever made. Because within a year, I mean, my schedule opened up. And I had
Probably your
time.
spirit.
Yes, it was just such a much better, mentally, less emotionally draining job than a daily talk show that's
Yeah.
crazy and high strung and all that.
What's Jimmy like?
He's great. I mean, he really is that person. He's enthusiastic, he's fun, he's nice, he's so supportive, and he's still really supportive of me and what I do, and I love him. He's great.
Okay, so then you went to I was going to say Who Wants to Marry a Millionaire, which is it's not the right show.
That was a doozy.
I bet, yeah. Second only to Bachelor Pad.
Oh my God.
Do you watch Bachelor Pad?
I had a blow-by-blow described to me of the finale of the last one, how crazy it was.
Okay, who delivered the blow-by-blows?
My sister. I have not watched the show. She was like, I have to tell you about what happened, though. And she had to explain to me the whole concept because I've never really watched that show. I'm more of a Bachelorette person.
Okay.
Bachelor Pad is...
Too unorthodox for you?
It's just my bandwidth. I don't have enough to handle that on top. It's like watching the challenges on top of watching the real world.
Right,
It's like you got to commit.
No,
although I did
don't.
watch the challenges for years and years.
Okay.
But
I hear what you're saying. I get the gist. Okay, my boyfriend was beside himself is too strong, but sort of beside himself over what had happened on the finale of Bachelor
my whole
Pad.
family was
he just
so
couldn't
upset.
believe that anyone could be so manipulative. I believe he used the word sociopath and just blah blah blah. And I watched it, and for the people who don't know the show, it's okay. You'll still be able to follow what I'm saying. And I'm like, I am having trouble feeling outrage over this because they're all a bunch of assholes, and ultimately all we're talking about is money anyway, which granted it's a big deal, but I mean in the big scheme of things, it's not like he
murdered
knifed,
someone.
Yeah, he knifed someone in the back figuratively, but by cutting her out of the money, and this is the whole point of the game is to outsmart. That's the whole point. So,
well, that's why I was kind of like,
but then I was
he's a
what's
genius.
wrong with me
No,
that I am
was
not.
like, she described it to me, and she's like,
Okay.
it was so crazy. And I was like, I actually, just from what you told me, I respect this guy. And she's like, I do too.
People described it to me as disturbing and upsetting.
Yeah.
I didn't feel
Well,
disturbed.
she
or upset,
said it was
though.
just so stupid. On his reaction was just like, "Fuck all y'all, I fucking got you."
Right.
But that she had
a whole rationale for his
She
behavior.
got the sense though that he wasn't that manipulative, that he really was stupid.
I think so, yeah.
And then at the end was acting like, I fucking got you. He just went
Right.
on a whim. He took a risk thinking it probably wouldn't happen. And then when it did, he got all
He's
like
I
puffed
planned
up.
it all along, yeah.
I meant to do that, you know? Like,
Right.
he probably
Very
just.
Kiwi.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he's a personal trainer. That's what he does.
Yeah.
So
They're all a real bunch of gems.
they really are. We should do a segment, but I'm wanting to know about your relationship with Nikki and how that works with the two of you. I read in the New York Times story about you guys that you're like the older sister. And I wanted to know. Let me say what it is, and then I want to know what your thoughts are about being described that way. You're kind of the wiser older sister. She's the, I forget how they described her exactly, younger,
Like
and she's
wild party girl type.
kind of, yeah.
Dumber. I don't know if they didn't use dumber. She's not dumber. But
Maybe she's more irreverent. That's not the word they use either, though. But
Yeah.
anyway, like she's the one who will go for the punchline.
sometimes
She'll deliver the punchline.
Yeah, I mean, it was
That's
this very
the way
simplified.
Yes.
And that's something I'm starting to.
bristle at.
Not bristle
Can
at,
I
but
put words
just
in your mouth?
it makes me a little scared when I think about, because I know how these things go. They want to make you very simple
Yeah.
and put you in a box. And this is the smart one. I know that I have the glasses, I have the brown hair, and I have a deeper voice.
So therefore, you're going to be the which one?
I'm going to be the nerdy, like older sister librarian nerd type, and Nikki's going to be the blonde bimbo type. But that's not who we are at all. So I think it'll be. I know that we control our show, and we will have, we will do what we do on the show. Mm-hmm. But I think people who talk about the show will decide what they think we are. But I know what it looks like on the surface. But I mean, I think in some ways I am more wild than Nikki, and in some ways she's more wild than me. Like, we have a very complex, like, we're both complex people. And like, I mean, I think I'm probably more like, if you like looked at it on paper, I'm probably way sluttier than Nikki. Although I think that people will say she's the, like, because she's blonde,
Right.
and like single, and I'm in a
that's what I was gonna
relationship,
say, 'cause she's single, so she can
right. But
talk
like,
more about
she's a
that.
really good girl, and she's like more conservative with dating than I ever was. So, another thing is that I think she's highly intelligent, and we both like lack skills in certain areas of, like, I'm not good with the beauty tips and stuff like that, but she doesn't know how to clean, like, and that kind of goes
an
into
apartment.
Yeah,
As
like
opposed to herself, because
she does know how to.
that'd be weird.
I'm the one that doesn't know how to clean myself. No, but yeah, we have this. Yeah, I do definitely take that older sister role a lot, just in our personal lives. I think because I'm 6 years older than her, and
Right.
so I've had more life experience, but she's taught me a lot too. So it's just. It'll be fun to see like how it all shakes out. And I mean, I definitely, like, someone said recently, like, oh, are you worried? Like, what, there's going to be like a behind the music about what happened to Nikki and Sara, like when their relationship fell apart. Like, I'm like, no, I mean, we've worked really hard going into this. Like, we've had a lot of long talks about, like, you are first and foremost, the one I'm loyal to. And we've said that to each other. And things have already happened where someone communicated from MTV or somewhere else, like, something to the other without telling one of us, and we immediately tell each other everything. So we kind of told MTV, like, if you don't talk to us as equals and at the same time about everything, even if it only relates to like one person, you're not gonna be able to hide anything. Like, we're gonna tell each other everything.
Right. Do you guys have the same representation?
No. That can be, I think that might get tricky because it's just a lot of people's opinions involved.
Right. I feel like the email chains are probably super
and
long.
it can get, I think that might get frustrating, but I think in the end, Nikki and I control what we do.
Right.
And that we've tried to really talk about that out and be like, we don't know what's going to happen. Some things are going to be really frustrating that we haven't even thought of yet. A few things have happened where we're like, oh shit, we're going to have to worry about that? Like,
Like what?
just like, one thing, it didn't end up happening, but they were going to have her do something on the network without me.
Oh.
And at first I was like, it's fine because, like, they'll give me something someday too. And I don't, but there was part of me that was like, what if what if they all hate me and I lose my show and my dream to her, which I thought she'd be great at
they
it,
like
but
her face, but not your face.
yeah, like you can't help. I've told her that fear. I've been very open about it because I think people need to understand that they need to be a little sensitive to us because we are. Yeah. We're equals, which is rare on a talk show to have two equal hosts. Mm-hmm. Usually it's a sidekick. So you know who the top is, right. And you know who to talk, And since it's the both of us, I mean, it's good because we have each other to go through with it. Every step of the way been like, oh, thank God you're here. Because it's not just on me. We're sharing this. But then at times it's like, what if they try to tear us apart? And what if, we're human beings. I mean, we've talked about we get jealous of each other sometimes.
I was wondering about that because you were talking about how it's a sort of a sore spot that you haven't been invited to Montreal.
Oh yeah,
and
her stand-up career
right?
is through the roof. I mean, she's doing Conan tomorrow night. I mean,
wow.
her stand-up career is enviable, and I definitely am jealous of it. But I'm not jealous of it to the point where I don't want her to have those things. I've always said to her, don't ever hide things from me that you're excited that are happening for you because your success, I mean, even on a selfish level, the more famous you are, the more famous I'll be. The more successful our show will be. Your success is my success and vice versa. And so, it's, it's something we have, there's been things that I did nothing that panned out, but I got close on a couple of things and she was like, I'm so jealous that you even got that opportunity and did so well with it, and I want to do things like that. And I'm like, there's plenty to go around. Mm-hmm. We're going to be fine. We are both going to have great careers. We already do. We've accomplished so much, and nothing's going to, one of us being more successful than the other does not diminish the other, and we've had a lot of long talks about that of
well, that's the thing.
It's going to be okay. This is not a race against each other. It's us against the world, if anything. So.
Yeah, and you can be jealous or envious of something, but still happy for them that they have it.
Yes, and we're okay being honest about those things. And the main thing is the first reaction always has to be supportive. You can't be, you got Conan? Well, that fucking sucks. And then be like, oh, but I am really happy for you. You have to put on the happy face. And then you can say, we've said things to, she said, I'm not... One time she's like, I'm afraid of telling you certain things because I know that you want these things and I'm getting them. And, and I'm like, I would much rather you tell me than to hide it from me.
Yeah.
Because then it feels...
That feels sneaky.
Yeah, don't do that. Just tell me everything. It's fine.
Right.
I'm a big girl. I can handle it.
Your podcast, which you were saying before the show started that MTV might build you guys a podcast studio at MTV so you can do it there. But currently you do it in your living room, right?
Yeah.
And do you have a live audience?
Yes.
How many people come over?
Sometimes it's 15 people squeezed in there, and sometimes it's 2. It just depends on the night.
Are these all people that you know? I say this is I used to do this show in its previous incarnation. Alison Rosen's Your New Best Friend was a Ustream show that I did out of my living room in Brooklyn, and I would have friends come over, a very small amount, but they all did different segments and things. But the idea of opening up my living room to people that I don't know that well scared me.
Yeah. So in the beginning it was just friends, and then we kind of expanded it to friends of friends, and then one week we invited strangers. And we did a little
where'd you find
Twitter
them?
and stuff. We were like, any fans want to come? We need an audience. And then
were people telling you you're crazy? That's scary.
Yeah, and we did an email. I did an email interview, with them.
That's good. You vetted them,
and it was fine at first, but I think then we realized there were some that were just weird.
Yeah,
and we had to cut people off, and it became ugly. And it was like, well, you just confirmed why we stopped inviting you because you're acting crazy. This was a privilege, and I'm sorry you got taken away, but you made us uncomfortable, and now you're attacking me. And it's like, and now I know you know where I live, and it was just kind of a mess. But
was it guys?
Yes. There was a couple that we were just like, ooh, we starting to recognize the signs now of someone who's just a little too invested, doesn't understand boundaries.
Right, but it feels so shitty to not be available and open to someone they're just all about you.
And then they turn it on you and say, yes, I'm supporting you. I've been here for you. And it's like, well, you're not really here for us if you're not respecting us.
Yeah, that's such a
You know,
I mean, I
you're
totally
here
agree.
for
That's
yourself.
a hard thing, though.
You
I
know,
had
and
to
it's
realize,
like if you're not, and when someone's not self-aware in that way,
right.
there's really nothing you can do. It's just
Yeah.
you have to rip the Band-Aid off. So we kind of ran into some trouble there, but now we have a new policy. You know, if you want to be on the list, you have to either know us, come with a friend that is on the list, or meet us separately. You know, come to a show, start slow, and at any point you can be removed from the list without explanation.
God, why are you so stuck up?
I know.
There are certain...
So now it's going to be a little different with the
Yeah.
studio, so we can control. But even then, I don't want weirdos coming into that either. So
There are certain people, and I was going to say fans, but actually it's people. People you meet where I feel like from the moment that they communicate with you, there's like an hourglass turned over. And if you don't respond within a certain amount of time, they are going to flip out and be upset with you.
also a red flag. That
Yeah.
the same person was if you didn't respond within 5 minutes of a question, it was like I got 25 emails, and it was like and text messages, and
Right.
like, dude,
It's a lack of
have a
awareness.
life.
It's a lack of awareness about importance in
Yes.
each That
Have
was
a
real
little
vague and yet still asshole-ish of me, what I was trying to say.
No,
I think
no.
they think that they're the center of your world in the same way that you might be the center of their world, not realizing that there's a bunch of emails you're trying to
Yeah.
answer. And I sound like a total asshole.
No,
so to all
no,
my-
no, no.
No, I do, but to certain people out there, I sound like an asshole.
No,
I love you
but-
guys.
I know, but it's
trying to
you
juggle.
have to understand that, you know, I also am not responsive. Like, I'm like that with everyone. Don't take everything so personally.
Yes,
you
that's
know,
what it
that,
is.
That it's not a one, right, like what you said. It's, you're thinking about me that, you know, that I would get my feelings hurt if you didn't write me back, but I wouldn't. I wouldn't
Right.
give a shit because I'm not like that. And that's just the difference between you and me. It's not one is better than the other. It's just different.
Mm-hmm.
So calm down. I don't hate you. I'm not trying to like,
Yeah.
it's when people start acting like they've
They're-
got conspiracy theories on you that you're like, okay, you're not in the same reality as we are.
Right.
Like, you know, like this isn't personal.
Yeah.
Deal with it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think that's when people are making you someone else in their life, like their family or their
Yeah.
parents or whatever. On that happy note, I think it's time for Just Me or Everyone.
Sometimes I ponder on something I have thought or done. Is it just me or everyone?
All right. Funkafried, oh, I like your name, says, I get pissed if someone opens the door for me from too far away. I feel like I need to double time it so I don't make them wait. Yes, I think, that's universally annoying, and it's more annoying because the person is trying to be polite, but you're like, now I've got to hoof it to the door. How do you feel about that?
That's not me, but I'm also
A fast walker?
I don't mind huffing it. Like,
All
it
right.
doesn't bother me.
But do you feel compelled to like get to the
Rush
door faster?
across,
Yeah,
yeah.
you do.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Chestnut Carrie. After I take a shower, I cup my boob with my hand while brushing my hair to avoid a nipple nip. I don't do that, but now I'm going to.
Wait,
Just because I want to hold my boobs.
nipple nip? Does this
Meaning
mean
like
you're gonna
hitting, she's
hit?
brushed. I feel okay. Either someone else sent this in which case it's really not just you, or Chestnut Carrie already sent this one in. So or emailed it because I'm very familiar with this idea that someone is afraid they're going to brush their nipple, like get it caught in the hairbrush.
I comb my hair
Oh.
with a comb.
But you could still the teeth of the comb could scrape across your tender
I'm
areas.
more afraid of when I'm trimming my bush. Because I don't do the full Brazil. I don't
Right.
do waxing because
Okay.
it's why bother. I don't
Yeah.
care. Bush is back. I just made that declaration to every guy I've ever met.
8 more years.
I have a huge bush. Deal with it.
But it's trim.
But
it
I'll
sounds
trim
like.
it.
Yeah.
And I'll shave, so that it's not like
Right.
spreading out outside of my underwear. But
There's not.
but I'll
overage.
trim it. I'll trim it, and I have nipped my labia before. And I'm telling you, I'm just
my
warning
God,
you.
that's
It
like
is
you
the
performed
worst
your own
pain I've ever felt.
episiotomy.
It's the worst pain I've ever felt in my
Really?
life. It is so intense, and does not go away you think it would just be the initial, when you cut yourself, when your skin, it just hurts at that first moment, maybe hurts a little bit. It is that intense for like a prolonged, like 15 seconds.
Now, does that surprise you though? Because see, this is what's going on in my head.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, I don't think my labia would be that sensitive. Maybe I'm just not that sensitive.
Hell yeah,
maybe
they
I'm
are.
not. This is what. So then I'm like, oh my god, maybe I'm never enjoying sex as much as
No,
other
I think you
people.
don't realize, because you usually only feel pleasure there, how intense that is. And because you don't feel pleasure when you're like tapping your, arm.
I see what you're saying. Right. If you had clitori going up your arm, it would feel good if you touched it, and it would hurt if you nicked it.
Right. So the hurting is just as intense. I mean, Jesus Christ, it is the worst.
I'm sorry.
I'm like down there like a fucking with like like what
a headlamp.
Yes, a headlamp and like a telescope to be like, don't, and I have like, I use my other hand as a guard.
Oh, see, you're essentially doing what she does.
Yeah. I cut my labia when I trim my bush. So no, it's not just you. I think that other part.
Did that make you afraid to pee? I don't know where the cut was, but I would.
No, I mean it was not. It was labia. It was like a cut, like blood coming out. Like it was unbelievable.
Did you wonder if you should get stitches?
No, it was
Wasn't
just
that
a
bad?
nip. I mean, it really was tiny. Because I have huge labia, but it was a tiny cut. Just kidding.
Right. Okay, great.
Sorry.
Are yours
Gary's
fairly
shaking his head.
even?
One's tiny bit like more dangly than the other.
Okay.
I mean, they dangle out. Like it's not. I mean,
normal
not
though,
like
right?
long. I don't have like huge labia, but like
You don't
Nikki and I
have
have
to
talked about.
tuck your labia.
I don't have to tuck it. No, Nikki and I have talked about this on the podcast, like that
okay.
women don't even realize.
No,
that,
it's
like we've got to talk to each other about this stuff because you
I've
shouldn't
never.
feel that yours aren't normal or weird.
This is the first time I brought up labia shape and
Yeah,
wind drag
mine just kind of, they're just little and like, one is sort of bigger than the other. And I didn't really notice that until much later in life because I was always afraid to even look down there.
right.
Because I was taught shame on that area. Not purposely, but just, how moms sometimes do.
Right. Are you over the shame? Or okay.
Yeah, I have no qualms. I mean, I wouldn't take a picture of it and show it to everybody, but
No, but I
don't mind talking about
yeah, I wouldn't do that either.
I also saw a book about women, like a porn picture book of big labia ladies just squatting, letting them hang down. I mean, they looked like
Is that a kind of
frog
porn?
faces. What?
Oh wow, is that
Like
a
lip.
kind of porn?
Yeah, I'm
Big
sure
labia
there are
lip
guys
ladies?
that are into huge labia. I mean, like they're like hanging down, like.
Ugh. But beautiful also.
Well, the poses were just so degrading. I mean, like to
Yeah.
get that shot, you have to
bet.
squat and
Right.
like. I mean, it was just ridiculous. I was like, oh God, I've seen a lot of weird stuff.
Yeah. Okay.
I love huge labia.
Bryant Rich. When road painters reverse word order to increase readability, I still read top to bottom and get a head stop and lane bus. Yes, I do that too. When you're
yes. I don't do
you
that.
Do you drive?
Not that much, but I have been for the past 2 weeks, and I haven't noticed that.
Okay.
I drove growing up. so-
Right. I do the top to bottom reading. Although I appreciate that the road is trying to put the words there so that I'll read them.
Yeah.
The closer word first, but I don't. All right. Garza Lee. When sitting on the toilet, I read the directions and ingredients of shampoo, body wash, conditioners, etc. Well, usually I read my iPhone.
Oh, I always do that. I'm so excited that Garzali does this.
But
I
do you
do
do
it
it when
too.
you're sitting on the toilet?
Yes.
You read that? Oh.
I pick up what's near and I read the label. Like just like growing up when I ate cereal, I would read the box.
I would always read the box, yes. Okay.
Similar. I just want something.
In the shower, I'll read the bottles. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But you don't ever take your iPhone in there?
Yeah, if I know it's going to be a long one, I'll.
You'll use the Kindle app? All right. Yeah. Here's one that I find amusing and gross. Delirium for sale. Get excited when I see a little poo on the side of a toilet bowl to test the strength of
that's
my
funny.
piss.
That's good for guys.
Yeah.
Because you can aim.
Yeah.
Girls, you just got to let it go.
Right.
It's like a spigot, putting your hand over a spigot.
Have you ever had this? Right. Have you ever had... It is. You ever?
Gary hates me.
No, he doesn't hate. Oh, please. We had Andrew WK on recently, and he wants to eat poo eventually.
Oh.
So he's just a little shell shocked.
That's not
Gary
in
is.
my.
No, me neither.
That's not on my bucket list.
But I recently discussed this phenomenon where you have to pee so bad. Maybe it's been a long day, and then you sit on the toilet and you lean back, and then you I just leaned back. You pee, and it like arcs over the bowl. Have you ever had that
peed
happen?
where it goes, for some reason, goes on the rim, the rim under the seat.
Yeah, well,
Like
somehow
it goes
ends up getting
straight
on you.
forward,
Yeah.
and it gets everywhere, and I'm
Yeah.
like, oh my God.
Yes.
It's like my worst nightmare. I hate that.
I do. Well, it's icky, especially if like some drops hit your pants or your underwear or something, and then okay.
I just remembered recently, the last time we did the podcast taping at my apartment, I had to pee so bad, and I was in such a hurry to do so that I forgot to pull down my underwear
Oh
and
my
just
God.
pissed through the underwear. That I've never done that. I was like, I have
worried
Alzheimer's.
about that. Wow.
I really
You know
think
what?
I've got
I
Alzheimer's.
feel like I've almost.
I
done that.
sat down.
Yeah.
I don't know what. Maybe I had like a weird shorts on or
distracted.
something. I don't know. I just sat down and peed, and I was like, "What am I doing?" Like immediately, and they were soaking wet, and there was people in my apartment, so I had to like sneak out
Yeah, how did you do
and
that?
I put my shorts on with no underwear, and then like got another pair of
Right.
underwear, ran back in the bathroom.
Wow.
Dumb.
No, it happens. That the problem is having the common denominator is having to pee really bad.
Yes, and being in a hurry or being distracted
Yes.
while you're doing it, and just
Yeah.
one of those brain fart type situation when you put milk in the cupboard.
Right.
You know.
I recently put a box of popsicles on top of the refrigerator.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
putting stuff in the wrong place.
Right.
So.
Like pee in your underwear. Okay. Okay, Boinkity Boink says, I'm thinking of teaching my elderly parents how to text on their cell phones, but I'm afraid they will text me. Well, Boinkity, I taught my dad how to tweet. And
if
I
you're
created
not
a
following
monster.
them, you're missing out because
Right.
it's fucking hilarious.
At Allison's parents. My dad has taken
that's
it very,
amazing.
very far.
The dog is verging on needing its own Twitter account, too.
I know. He just tweets about what's going on with the family dog.
Oh, that's great.
And so I have Alison Rosen as your new best friend, and my dad tweets about how Toby is going to start Toby Rosen as your new best friend, and how he's always on the phone with his agent Lenny the Poodle, and it's it's
wow.
crazy.
This is choice.
Yeah,
choice
good
stuff.
stuff, and it's constant too. It's a lot of tweets.
Yeah, I'm really glad my dad's not on Twitter. He might be on Facebook secretly. I don't know.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or that he has a profile and just hasn't added us for boundaries' sake. I don't know. I don't want to know.
I see. My dad used to email jokes to me, and I was like, I feel like Twitter would give him a way to have an audience for all this stuff. So I did. I am the one who introduced this to him, and now I'm paying for it. But not really. It's amusing. It's just sometimes
I just
like,
wouldn't.
wow.
He would do racist stuff, and I don't want that. He's not racist. Well, like he's one
Right,
of those.
it's that- I
he's
know what
not
you mean. It's
He's
not racist,
but
but-
he doesn't like hate people of other color, or, whatever.
Does he just like them less?
No, he just thinks it's funny to make jokes
Yeah.
about it, and I'm like, it's not funny. Like
See,
we
yes.
have to tell him, like, it's not funny, Dad. Like it's not.
Right. It's a real generational thing.
And some jokes about race are funny, like, but
Yeah.
when it's a old white man making them, it's not funny. Like, I'm sorry, but you can't do that.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. See, my dad I think he thinks that, everyone knows that he doesn't really feel that way. I'm like, no, people will assume if you
Yes.
make this joke that you do feel this way.
Yes, and I've had to tell him that. He's like, I'm just kidding. Seriously, I'm really just kidding. I have no problems. Like he's not a birther. I mean, he is very conservative, but he's not like Obama's a Muslim. Like he doesn't say shit like that. Like but he's so it's not some deep seated belief of like hatred. It's
Right.
just him being ignorant and not
It's just different,
understanding
not
that his
understand
words
that
are
we-
hurtful.
Right,
Yeah.
and that we came of age in a different time
Yeah.
and stuff. All right. I think now it is time for...
Hey, go fuck yourself.
All right. This is an email from Andrew. Allison, I have listened to the Adam Carolla show for a while now, but I was starting to get bored in the afternoons at work because I would finish his show early in the day. A few weeks ago, I was searching for another podcast I would like on... I'm reading like someone who is just barely learning to read. A few weeks ago, I was searching for another podcast I would like on Google and saw some reviews on yours. Some guy had written something like, quote, Alison Rosen is so annoying, don't ever listen to this podcast. For some reason, I took the guy's advice and moved on to look for something else. A few weeks had gone by, and I hadn't really found anything I liked, so at the beginning of this week, I figured I would give yours a chance, and since I've always liked you on the Adam Carolla show. It only took one episode to realize that I love your your show. I love the honest feel of the show and can relate to a lot of what you say. My afternoons are now filled with entertainment as I've been working my way back through your archive. So, to the guy who posted his stupid comment, probably without ever listening to your show, and deprived me of entertainment for weeks, I say, go fuck yourself. Have a great day. P.S. I love the guitar solo ringtone. Oh, yes, for anyone who doesn't know, I did an impression with my mouth of Dave Hill's guitar playing on the Adam Carolla Show, and that is now a ringtone. So if you search Alison Rosen or Adam Carolla Show, you will find that ringtone. You can get that. But anyway, to the person who left the comment, which then made this guy think he shouldn't listen to the show, go fuck yourself.
Hey, go fuck yourself.
Do you need to tell anyone that?
I think I've done some of it already in my own way on today's episode, and for those
It's
people,
true.
I'm sorry. But yeah, I got an email recently from a random guy just saying, because me and Nikki did these wraparounds for Daria reruns, like we were just like, next on Daria, you know, and then I got an email just being like, you are fucking terrible. You're a waste of space. Like, just really
How
vitriolic,
thoughtful.
like
Yeah.
just so angry. And it's just like, you know, if this is MTV's idea of talent, you know, like he's like, you are terrible. Quit now. Like, it was just really mean and direct. And my email's out there. So like, I get what people send me and
Right.
it's my email. And like, I don't want to cut it off, but I also, because most of what I get is nice, but once in a while you're just like, Jesus. And I never respond. I never respond to mean stuff on Twitter or anything.
Did you have to learn to arrive at that, or?
No, I've responded to things that I think were like from fans. I will respond to a fan that's been offended. Now that if I have time, I'll do it. And because I truly don't want to offend people who are fans of our podcast. Like, I don't want to hurt people. That's not I'm not trying to push buttons and like raise a controversy. I'm just, because that's not who I am. So if I say something that's ignorant, I'll be like, I fucked up. I'm sorry. And I just want you to know that I do think about, you know, like a black woman wrote in and was like, it made me feel like you didn't think I was like you, and I feel like we're alike, and it hurt me. It was just,
What had you said that?
I think I said something like about on this New York City subway that like, if you bump into a black girl, like, be careful because they get mad. And it was a very ignorant thing to say, but it was also something based on my own experience.
Yeah.
And so I did what everyone does, which is you form a stereotype, and then that's normal, I think, for the human brain to do. But how you communicate it or choose not to communicate it is what's important. And so I shouldn't have said it, but so we talked it out, and we were fine. She was fine with it. And I find most people, like, those type of people are reasonable.
Those type of people, black people? I'm just
Those
kidding.
people,
No,
yeah.
I know what you mean.
No, those
Right.
type of people who
Right,
are
you
like,
can
I'm a
tell.
fan and you disappointed me.
You can tell from the tone whether this
Yeah.
is someone who where they're coming from, and
Yeah.
if they're a hater or not.
Yeah, and so, like, but just randomness. Like, someone started a Twitter account called Fuck You, Sarah, and it was strictly to just personally attack me.
That
and
was
it
me. Did you like it?
And it was very it was someone, I could tell it was someone who knew me in my personal life. And it was really, really hurtful. And that's what bothered me the most, is because I knew it was for real. Like, it wasn't just some idiot who
Is it
didn't
gone?
like. Yeah, I handled it. But that disturbed me, because I was just like, oh, you, like, I know. And I figured out who it was, and we had some words. And then it stopped.
Now I want to know, it's someone that, like a former friend or something?
Yeah, I don't want to get into it.
Okay.
Because I don't want to bring any
Right.
power to it at all.
Okay.
But I shouldn't even mention it. I did not
I
respond
had a similar thing.
in
but it
any
was
other way than just
okay.
to be like, this is over.
Yeah.
You know, we're never speaking again. Like, that kind of thing. Cut off.
Well, fuck that person.
Yeah.
Hey, go fuck yourself.
I also don't block people
You don't.
generally, because I don't want
do.
to give them the satisfaction that they got to me. But after a while, you just have to if they're really
Yeah.
harassing you. But
I think that I'm like, I'm not going to block because I want to keep my Twitter number high or something insane like
no,
that.
I just
and
will say I
then
don't want them
just-
to know that I even read it.
Yeah.
You know, but sometimes you can.
I would like to arrive at that equanimity of like, I'm just going to look at my ad replies and some of them are good and some of them are bad. But then I'm just like, no, if you're going to say shitty things, which you clearly are from the 1 or 2 tweets that you already have said, and like, I don't want that in my timeline.
Yeah.
So, or not in my timeline, in my
Well, there's a
ad
difference between
replies.
attacking and just, some people just say really stupid shit that I'm like, oh God, you know, like they're just, backhanded compliments or like these little insulty type things.
Right.
They usually, if you say something, I've noticed on because a lot of comedians do respond to shit like this, and I'm like, why are you even going there?
I know.
And then the person will almost always writes back, I'm a huge fan of you. I thought it would be funny if I said that. And it's like, oh.
I have heard that so many times, and I've
read it so many times on Twitter.
It doesn't happen with me. If I ever say something, I hardly ever get, very rarely have I ever gotten an apology. Usually they double down.
Ooh.
Yep. That is.
I think I might have to get
response.
off Twitter at some. I really think Twitter is bad for me. I'm not good. I think it sucks out time in my life. It makes me feel bad about myself. Usually I end up feeling bad at the end of the session.
Right.
So I would like to quit, but I don't want to right now because I know it's powerful.
I know. I actually was thinking about that. I was thinking, like, what would my life be like if I took a 1 week break from Twitter?
I took a 4-day break.
Quitting. I'm talking about 1 week.
I took a 4-day break from all electronic computer stuff, computer, phone, everything. Phone off.
Right.
And it was one of the best
long?
4 days.
Wow.
And it was great. And my life was not. I was with my family on vacation, so there was things distracting me, and I was away, and I made an away message, and I did it right. But I was like, I got to do this more often because it sucks.
When I get off stage, after having been on stage for like an hour and a half, I feel like I've neglected my phone.
Oh yeah, running.
If I could check Twitter on stage, I would.
Well, when I turned the phone back on after the 4 days, I was like, it was like Christmas morning. Like I couldn't wait to see all the messages and email, and there was like almost nothing, and I was like,
Well, gosh, Sara Schaefer, thank you so much. A lot. I know we did. Thank you so much for doing this show.
Thanks so much for having me.
And people can follow you on Twitter.
Yep, Sara Schaefer.
Despite what we just said.
Please follow me, please. I need you. Sara Schaefer 1.
Is there just a Sara Schaefer?
Yeah, and it was available when I signed up because I didn't know what Twitter was going to be, I signed up really early.
Okay.
I was like, I'll just make it the same as my AOL Instant Messenger name.
Is that still what that is?
I don't use AOL Instant Messenger anymore.
So people might try to find you on there now.
Yeah, no, I don't use it anymore, so good luck. But yeah, I made that my name.
Right. All right. And they can get your podcast. You had to be there. Yes, I said that right, right?
Yep.
Oh, my God.
You had to be there.
Crazy that
No,
I can't.
everyone always, you had to be here. Yeah, they always say it wrong. It doesn't matter.
Okay. And they can tune into the Nikki and Sara Show on MTV in January, and they can check your website, which is...
SaraSchaefer.com.
Okay.
Not SaraSchaefer1.com.
No,
I got the ridge.
Good. Nice.
SaraSchaefer.com.
Get that for more info on you and where you'll be and stuff. And you can follow me on Twitter at Alison Rosen. You can follow the show's Twitter feed at ARIYNBF. You can follow producer Gary at GPatrickSmith. You can email the show at ARIYNBF at AdamCarolla.com. And if you're going to buy something on Amazon, which you are because they have everything and you don't want to have to put on pants and leave your house, click through the banner on my website, AlisonRosen.com. And then it doesn't cost you anything extra, but it helps out the show. And if you want to do that, that would be delightful. And thank you for listening. And I love you guys. Am I missing anything, Gary? I don't think I am. Okay, bye.
Bye.
Hey, do you know about the Alison Rosen Show? We had a good time, but now we gotta go. Thank you for choosing the Alison Rosen Show. Alison Rosen is your new best friend. That's right. That's right. Those good times don't seem to end. That's right. That's right. Alison Rosen is your new best friend. Hey, do you know about the Alison Rosen Show? We had a good time, but now it's time to go. Hope to see you next time for the Alison Rosen Show. Yeah.
is Corolla Digital.